This podcast is part of the Hungry Brothers Broadcasting Network.
Visit hungrybrotherspodcast.podbean.com to hear more of our content every week. Hey, welcome to Hungry Dungeon, the Dungeons & Dragons podcast where our food is home-cooked and our content is home-brewed. I'm your host, the Burger Master, or Noe.
And I'm your co-host, Half Pork, or Greg.
Yeah, and we're excited today to talk about all things Dungeons & Dragons.
Aren't we?
Aren't we?
Aren't we?
Are we?
I think we are.
I think we are.
I am.
I like Dungeons & Dragons.
Me too.
I like it a lot.
We got some good stuff to talk about today.
We really do. And we're starting off today's podcast with our weekly recurring segment.
It's your fantasy food of the week,
Your
friends.
fantasy food of the week. So what's our fantasy food of the week, Greg?
Well, Noe, I'm going to let you guess with my guess. So, let me guess. Someone stole your sweet roll. It is the sweet roll as featured in the Elder Scrolls series, specifically in Scram.
Delicious.
The Elder Scrolls Pib Scram.
You have to think like in fantasy worlds, they don't get sugar a lot.
No, they really don't, do they?
Because sugar's like hard to grow.
Yeah.
It's a real hard crop.
Mm-hmm.
So sugar roll's probably like a...
It was a delicacy.
Rarity. Yeah,
it was reserved for only the kings. So if it got stolen, it should... you know what? It should restore more than 5 points of health.
Yeah? How much do you think it should restore?
20.
20? Jeez, dude. That's
20
like a whole
health.
cheese roll.
Is the cheese? Oh, a cheese roll gives you 20?
Yeah, a full cheese roll gives you
15.
20. Okay. I'd say 10. No, 8.
I could get behind 8. 8.5.
8 and a stamina increase.
8 and a stamina increase. Temporary stamina increase. Like it increases the amount of stamina you can have. It doesn't give you stamina if you're low, but it's like, the potion of increased health, potion of increased stamina.
Yeah.
That's what a sweet roll should do.
You know what's crazy? I don't think in our Dungeons & Dragons campaign, any of the characters except for Aaron have had anything sweet in their lives. Jace may be a lump of sugar.
Maybe Jace. Yeah, I can't remember if I've eaten anything sweet as a character, though.
No,
I don't think so.
You guys haven't even had fruit.
Yeah, no, I did buy fruit.
Did you?
From the lady in Trelevon. Yeah.
That would have been the only sweet thing that you had in probably a year.
Dude, how did Jace not have scurvy?
Dude, that's a great question. Magic?
Scurvy. Jace, who's been casting magic on me to keep me from having scurvy?
The Lord?
The Lord? Lordly magic?
Lordly
Righteous powers of scurv?
The sweet roll.
The power of the sweet roll.
So
your fantasy food of the week what is a sweet roll? It kind of looks like a cinnamon roll, right?
Yeah, like a cinnamon roll.
It's like
probably not cinnamon.
Cinnamon volcano.
Yeah, but probably not cinnamon.
What do you
it's
think
probably
it is?
Just bread.
Just bread and sugar?
Just bread with a little bit of sugar glazed on top of it. Yeah.
Honestly, that sounds incredible. Dude, what are you doing after recording?
Smash?
No, I'm going to bed.
Oh.
I'm leaving.
Good to know.
Yeah, it's late.
I'm probably going to play Smash Brothers.
Breaking the fourth wall. It is late.
It is.
I've been here for like 3 hours and we have nothing to show for it except for a few Smash battles and some barbershop quartet videos.
Yep, good day.
We're having a good time, though.
Heck yeah.
So there's your fantasy food of the week. Barbershop quartets. Sweet roll.
Sweet roll. And we have a race to talk about today.
It's also what I say every time I roll a nat 20. Sweet roll.
Oh, God. Oh, God.
But So, sorry, what are we talking about? Oh, I think I really hurt him.
It's so much pain. It was so painful. Ew.
When you have advantage and you roll 2 natural ones, let me guess, someone stole your sweet roll.
Oh, God. But like our previous 2 weeks, we're continuing the trend of talking about a race, and we're keeping it small.
We are keeping it small.
So we started with the kobold.
The kobold.
Oh, man. Then we went to the halfling.
The halfling.
And now we're talking about
these
dwarves.
Those hairy little jerks.
Mm-hmm. All right, so Greg, what do you know about dwarves?
I know they be small.
Mm-hmm.
I know they be ridiculously strong for their stature.
Yes.
I know that they weigh about like a billion pounds per square foot.
Fact check: are dwarves the densest race?
I feel like they are.
I feel like that makes sense.
I know that they're not always the most book smart.
Yeah.
but they are technically smart usually.
Yeah, absolutely. Real good with their hands.
I know that in a lot of different lores, the dwarves were the first ones to like modernize. Usually, the inventors of the steam engine in whatever world that is. I think in our world, is it the gnomes or is
It's
it
the gnomes
it's
in
the
our
gnomes
world.
in our world? But for the most part, usually the dwarves are like the technologically advanced race.
Yeah,
And I know that they do not get along with elves.
that's true.
Who else don't they get along with? Just elves?
I think dwarves are real like, well, in our like lore, not in our lore, but in D&D lore, dwarves are like very slow to trust.
Okay.
So they don't really like making relationships with anyone outside of their kin.
Right.
So here's a quote. Here's a quote from the player's handbook for dwarves. Dwarves get along passably well with most other races. The difference between an acquaintance and a friend is about 100 years.
Oh.
That's a dwarf saying that might be hyperbole, but certainly points to how difficult it can be for a member of a short-lived race like humans to earn a dwarf's trust.
Right.
So then they have 3 examples, right? They have elves, halflings, and humans. So, elves. This is what dwarves say about elves in the handbook.
Okay.
It's not wise to depend on the elves. No telling what an elf will do next. When the hammer meets the orc's head, they're as apt to start singing as to pull out a sword. They're flighty and frivolous. 2 things to be said for sure. Said for them, though. They don't have many smiths, but the ones they do have make fine work. When the orcs or goblins come streaming down out of a mountain, an elf's good to have at your back. Not as good as a dwarf, maybe, but no doubt they hate orcs as much as we do.
Very good. Okay.
All right, halflings. Sure, they're pleasant folk, but show me a halfling hero. An empire, a triumphant army, even a treasure for the ages made by halfling hands. Nothing. How can you take them seriously? Oof.
Oof, indeed.
Jinkies.
So are they? Do they have like a respect for power and power alone?
I think they have respect for people who can prove that they can keep themselves in the world.
Okay. So what do they say about humans then?
You take the time to get to know a human, and by then the human's on her deathbed.
Oh no!
If you're lucky, she's got kin, a daughter or granddaughter maybe, who's got hands and a heart as good as hers. That's when you can make a human friend and watch them go. They set their hearts on something, they'll get it, whether it's a dragon's hoard or an empire's throne. You have to admire that kind of dedication, even if it gets them in trouble more often than not.
Huh.
So I think, based off of this, they honor craftsmanship, right? They honor drive, ambition.
Ambition.
You know? Because elves, they're not like driven. They do their thing. Freedom is the thing for elves, you know. But humans are known as like ambitious people,
Right.
You know, they want a dragon's hoard, they want an empire's throne. They'll probably get it if they want it, you know.
Yes.
And then you look at the halflings who are just fine doing their own thing and don't really care about glory or power or strength, and they just live, you know.
Right. And that's even that's funny because that's even the way it tends to be if you play a halfling in a campaign. They're always just content with whatever.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I'll go on an adventure.
Yep.
That sounds cool.
Yep.
As long as I can come back home when I'm done.
And it's, you know what's real interesting? So we talked about halflings last week.
Right.
We talked about Mimac's character, her first one, Andra Timberwood. And her character married a dwarf. She's a halfling.
Ah.
And she married a dwarf.
What does that result in? Like, what is the offspring?
I don't know.
It's like a toss-up?
Yeah, I think it's a mix.
Short?
It's a mix. Half dwarf,
It's little.
half dwarf.
Whatever it is, it's little. That's
Yeah,
all we need to
definitely
know
small.
about it.
Definitely small. But like I think about it and like the way that she played her character, you know, her character was like different from most halflings.
Right.
Because most she left her family because she like there's a war going on. Someone needs to protect them, and that kind of like drive and ambition drew this dwarf to her because he's like, oh, a halfling that's doing something that's exotic.
Gorfin.
Gorfin.
Oh, goodness gracious. I remember
love
that
him.
guy.
I love him, dude. He's such a fun character.
Yeah.
The Huntsman Smith. Oof.
Oh, he was a huntsman as well.
He
That's
was.
right.
He was a huntsman, and he used 2 hand axes tied to endless chain.
That's awesome.
It was so fun. But yeah, dwarves are cool.
So, what's the max age of a dwarf? How long do they live?
Dwarves are old. I'm pretty sure they live. They can live like more than 400 years ago. Like they can live 400 years and past sometimes.
Oh, okay.
So if you think in our world, the dwarves, like some of the oldest ones, can probably remember the after effects
of the Wait,
of
what?
the
No, I don't know where you're
Cataclysm.
going.
Like
The Cataclysm.
Yeah, like right
Okay.
after that.
I thought that was longer ago than that.
Well, it was about I think the last thing was like 1,000 years ago. No, I'm thinking something else.
Yeah, I think our timetable's off right now.
Yeah, it is.
So dwarfs would remember like the end of the last Pavash, probably.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely.
If they knew
they'd probably know like the middle of the last Pavash,
Okay.
which is pretty intense.
Because was the immediate predecessor of the current Pavash, was that the one from the old campaign? Or was there another one?
No,
because that was a
couple of
different
them.
continent,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, different continent.
Okay.
But yeah, they definitely would have remembered the previous Pavash. Mm-hmm. And they probably would have known him probably in the middle of his life. Mm-hmm. And for much of the end of it.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
So 400-ish years.
Yeah, 400-ish years. I don't know. I think they're real cool. I like the whole the Tolkien-esque kind of vibe where
Gimli's one of my favorite literary characters.
Dude, I love that they like live under the mountains and they mine and they like that whole the Hobbit thing with like the 7 dwarves or the dwarves of Erebor, and it's so cool. You know, the king under the mountain, 12.
Yeah.
The king under the mountain being the king because he found the heart of a mountain.
Right.
So cool. You know? And that's something that you only attribute to like the dwarves, I think, because I don't really think of other races doing that and putting in that type of effort for something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and also I think on the note of really liking Tolkien dwarves, unpopular opinion, even though we never really meet them, I'm not a fan of what they set up for the Dwemer in the Elder Scrolls.
Yeah.
Those dwarves seem, maybe it's just because they're dead, but they seem really uninteresting to me. I feel like there's not a grander history other than a few little steam robots rolling around in their old caves. Mm-hmm. You know, there's nothing to say we were a grand race. There was something to say of, we were really smart, but that's about it.
Well, if you really read, you know, like it has those Dwemer history books.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, I've went through like and read them. Mm-hmm. Crazy. They're ridiculous.
Give you a little more respect about them?
Yeah, the reason they don't exist is because they use science to try to overpower the gods.
Oh. That's intense.
And then they disappeared and nobody knows why. Mm-hmm. And so it changes from these people that are like just technologically advanced to these people that are the only gods that we serve are ourselves because we made ourselves gods.
Right. That's intense. That's big.
Yeah, there's a lot of ego there that I don't think that they just do when you're exploring the ruins.
Dummy-dums, yeah.
But when you're actually reading through the lore of the Elder Scrolls, they're like ridiculous. What is it? You know, in Skyrim, Molag Bal, they had like a fight with Molag Bal.
Oh,
an entire race fought a god.
That's intense.
The Daedric Prince of forbidden knowledge. And
what would it be like in our world for a group of people to take on a god?
Oof.
Or I guess.
Well, it's happened before, hasn't it?
This is true. It has happened before.
And that person was so powerful that they conquered half of the continent on their own.
And he might be back.
But who knows?
Ba-dum-bum.
At Ephraim, the Desert Scourge, everyone.
Hopefully we'll play again soon.
What a fun character he was. I never even got to use him.
Ooh.
Oof. Never even got to use him.
No, because I killed him, right? Oh, no, I killed his son in the old campaign.
Or did you?
Who was that I killed?
You killed someone who claimed to be Ephraim the Desert Scourge.
Oh. Of course. Of course it wouldn't have been that easy.
Dude, of course not. You think I'm going to give you a big bad that early?
I know, right?
No, I want you guys to feel it.
He went down way too easy now that I think about it.
He just died right there.
Well, and because I was so nonchalant about killing him, and I was like, we still need to find the Desert Scourge, and then everyone else was like, you just killed him. And they convinced me. I was like, yeah, I guess I did. I didn't think I killed him. I thought it was just some guy killing my girlfriend.
Yeah, it was good, though. But 3 types of dwarves.
3 types of dwarves.
Hill dwarves. They're wiser.
They live in the hills.
And then mountain dwarves. They strong. They beefy.
They live in the mountains.
Dwarves of Erebor.
Okay, yeah.
And then, there's my favorite kind of dwarf. The Duragar.
The Duragar?
The Duragar. So Duragar, here's their explanation, just in a quick little snippet into what the Duragar are.
Uh-huh.
In cities deep in the Underdark live the Duragar, or the Grey Dwarves.
The Grey Dwarves.
These vicious, stealthy slave traders raid the surface world for captives, then sell their prey to the other races of the Underdark. They have an innate magical ability to become invisible and to temporarily grow to a giant size.
That's incredible.
Wild, dude. I like them a lot. I think they're my favorite kind of dwarf.
So here's some questions.
Yeah.
Being that we are a D&D podcast,
Uh-huh.
what are some of the mechanical advantages of playing a dwarf?
Well, here's what you get for all dwarves. All dwarf, they get Constitution +2.
Con +2?
Or this is basic dwarf, not specified.
Okay.
Unspecified dwarf gets Con +2. They 4 to 5 feet tall, average about 150 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
They get dark vision. They get walking speed of 25.
25. Okay.
So smaller walking speed.
Same as a halfling.
But no speed reduction from heavy armor.
Oh, okay. So they get to keep their 25 when they're wearing heavy armor.
Mm-hmm. Most races drop to 25. They just stay there. Which is good.
Yeah, that's excellent.
Proficiency with the battle axe, hand axe, light hammer, and warhammer.
No swords.
No swords. You get proficiency in artisan's tools. So like smithing tools, whatever.
So have you ever seen a dwarf rogue using hand axes?
No.
That'd be fun.
That'd be really fun. Here's a fun one. They have advantage on saving throws against poison.
Against poison?
And resistance against poison damage.
Okay.
That's super cool.
Just naturally poison resistant.
Whenever they make a history check dealing with stonework, they have advantage.
Okay.
Common and Dwarvish. Or their languages.
Very cool.
Then you get to the Duergar. Duergar get a strength increase of 1. They get superior dark vision. Wild.
Okay. So that means that they don't see dimness. They see like it's daytime.
Mm-hmm. They have advantage against illusions, against being charmed or paralyzed. They have sunlight sensitivity, which means if they're in direct sunlight, they have disadvantage on wisdom checks.
Okay.
Or perception.
But it won't harm them per se?
Won't harm them, but they can't see. They have astigmatisms.
Oh.
Is the best way to put it.
Poor guys.
Yeah, poor guys. And then they get magic at 3rd level.
Regular dwarves aren't usually magic inclined?
Not that they can be. Mm-hmm. Traditionally, people don't play dwarves as like spellcasters,
right?
Because they're so good as beefy people,
right? Like a dwarf barb.
Yeah, dwarf barb, dwarf fighter. Those types of.
Have you ever seen a dwarf monk?
No, but I want to. Shoot, that'd be cool. And Duergar just a little magic because they live in the Underdark.
Right. And then the hill dwarf.
Hill dwarf, you get a wisdom score increased by 1. And your hit point maximum increases by 1 and increases by 1 every time you gain a level.
Ooh, that's disgusting.
Yep. You
get thick with 3 C's.
And then you have your mountain dwarf. Strength increased by 2.
Okay.
And you have proficiency in light and medium armor.
Very cool.
Very fighter-esque.
Yeah.
Not as tanky.
Suited to be a fighter, not so much.
Absolutely.
Because as a barbarian, you actually get those bonuses for being unarmored, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. Very cool.
Yeah. So those are dwarves.
I love that.
They're fun.
Dwarves are awesome.
We have in our world we build strongholds for our dwarves. Mm-hmm. So they live in specific areas inside of the mountain ranges,
and they do not assimilate into the rest of society.
Not often.
Right.
Not often. They like to stay to themselves.
Did I tell you about the dwarf that I played in a short one-shot that I DM'd for Mackenzie and my brother-in-law?
No.
Our dwarf was... So there was one that was half dwarf, half elf, and he was the prince of the kingdom, and he was a fighter with the rest of the party for a little while, not horribly often. But then... So the queen was a high elf, and the king was a dwarf. Which was uncommon because the previous king was an elf, and so everyone sort of hated him for it. But he was jolly, like our King Roem in the Esterlands. But he was also voiced by a Chaos Brother.
Oh no!
And so when they met him, the first thing that came out of his mouth, "Hello, I am King Dormus, the Dwarf King of Aftonshire." And it came up often. It was like his every other sentence was, "Because I'm King Dormus." And then another character would start talking. Well, Your Majesty, the Dwarf King
of Aftonshire.
Also, Aftonshire is a really good kingdom name.
It's a really great
Just
name.
gonna throw that out there.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't remember. Oh, you know what? You know how I did it? I was trying to like write the beginnings of my campaign, and I was in the shower and I was washing my hair, and I looked over at our kitchen sink because our shower is just glass panels, and I looked over and I saw a bottle of my post shave balm. Harry's, by the way, if you're listening, we'd love to be sponsored by you. And I looked at it, I go, oh, it's aftershave. And I go, that's the name of my kingdom, Aftonshire. so my kingdom is named from aftershave.
It's so specific.
Which is fun.
It's incredible. That's so specific.
It was going to initially be a syllabatic twist on Head and Shoulders. I just made up a word. No big deal. It was originally going to be something along the lines of Head and Shoulders, because that's what I was washing my hair with. And then I landed on Aftonshire, and it was great.
That's pretty good, man.
Yeah. So, dwarves.
Yeah.
One other question about dwarves before we move on. They all have beards. Is it a mark of something significant in their culture?
I think they just grow them.
Okay.
I think it's just a natural thing.
They're just hairy beings?
They're just hairy.
That wasn't necessary. I'm so sorry. Okay, moving on.
Yeah, moving on. So, we're doing something a little different right now, and we're planning out something new with Dungeons and Dragons?
I wanna be the very best because our party can't get together every week, so I created a brand new game, D&D Pokemon.
Yeah, so we're working out the kinks right now.
Yes.
For this new game that we're gonna try running.
But I've got great ideas, and after record, I don't want to reveal it during the podcast because then concept producer Mac and Cheesy is going to figure out what I'm going to do. But I have an excellent campaign idea, and I just want to run it by you to see if it would be interesting.
Oh my god, I'm so pumped.
And I think it'll be great.
Yeah, I'm just real excited because I haven't played D&D in a while.
Right.
As a player, I'm usually the DM, right?
Was the last player character you were Slushy? Slushy the raccoon?
Man.
That was a long time ago, though. That was a year and a half ago.
Two.
Oh, yeah, almost 2 years ago.
I played once as a reprise of my my favorite bard that I've ever played, Calix of Barosi, who single-handedly talked a big boss into not doing what he's doing. And then I got all the experience, and that happened multiple times for multiple bosses. Because, when you have natural charisma as a player, and then you convince the DM that, DM, I want to roll I don't think this is wise. And then I go into, a spiel about, there were these, here's the story. I don't know if we've told this in the podcast. I don't think I have. And then we'll get into Pokemon.
Yeah.
But, I'm playing Calix of Barosi. And the world is invaded by these small creatures in the player's handbook called Modrons. And what Modrons are is they're like these little robots from another dimension, and they meticulously. Listen, I'm gonna put this very specifically.
Okay.
They meticulously study things in random fashions by randomly changing the things that they're supposed to be studying.
Whoa. Okay. Me?
Worse. I want you to imagine. You're a scientist.
Okay.
All right. And we have the scientific method. Things work the way they are. Don't change the thing that is going, and then maybe it works. But you need to study grass.
Okay.
So logically,
picking the grass.
Logically speaking, the thing that you need to do with this grass is you go on it, pluck one piece of it.
Okay.
Tape it to another piece.
It's now longer.
And then move on.
No, why?
Exactly.
Why have I done this?
Exactly. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense because their whole thing is things need to be in order. But there's no order. They think that chaos is order.
Okay.
And so their big boss is in this flying ship that I've never seen before. We get teleported up after I roll a huge Karen moment of just saying, hey, who's your supervisor? I would like to speak to your boss, please. And I kept doing that to all of them. And then it was this 2-day long journey. Literal 2 days like me, 2 days, 2 different sessions of me going through and being okay, we're in this encounter, and then everyone's like fighting. I'm like, excuse me.
Can I speak to your boss?
My party and I have some complaints, and I would like to talk to your supervisor, please. And they'd be like, my supervisor? And then he's like, okay, roll a persuasion check.
Ew.
37. We're so sorry for the inconvenience. That'd be unit whatever. And be like, all right, you could go to him. It turns from Modrons to like these large robotic tentacle monsters, and then they're like, well, there's nobody above me except the boss. Yeah, let me talk to him, please. Mm-hmm. So we go to the boss, and I'm like, hey, I hear you're studying things. Great. I like to study things too. Here's the deal, though. If you really want good information, I don't know if you've been keeping an eye on your guys down there. And he's like, well, I have so many of them. How am I supposed to do that? And I said, yeah, they're not following correct protocol. Here's what needs to happen. Mm-hmm. Consider me a service representative from the place that you're organizing. Let me be an ambassador from the company that you're trying to that you're trying to look at, and let me just explain. This is the best way that I can help you get your job done. And so I told him all of these things and how he needs to rework the way he's doing things. And I said, look, if you really want to get information and put things in order, if you want to do that, first you need to learn how things are disordered. Which means you need to observe it without changing it. And then he's like, roll persuasion?
Who was DMing this?
Trevor.
Was it Trevor?
Nat 20. So I already give a thing, and then he's like, all my people just sent him to me. Something must be up. And then within a day, what was once this thing that was going to destroy the entire world, all of them got beamed up, and then they never bothered the world again.
That's incredible.
Oh, Dungeons and Dragons.
So
P&D.
So D and P.
Dungeons and Pokemon.
Yeah, because Pokemon and Dragons does not work.
Pokemon and Dragonites.
Dungeons and Dragonites.
Dungeons and Dragonites? God, why didn't we think of that?
I don't know. So Dungeons and Dragonites. So essentially,
Dungeons and Dragon types.
Dungeons and Dragon types. Dungeons and
Ew.
So essentially, what I've done is I've taken sort of like a cantrip system, and combined it with Pokemon's PP system. Right? So if you have a move, Vine Whip, I think you get 10 Vine Whips.
Yeah.
Or something like that. Mm-hmm. You have a Bulbasaur, right? You're not using the moves. Yeah. So you send out your Bulbasaur. I almost said cast. You cast Bulbasaur.
I cast Bulbasaur.
Ooh. I took my Bulbasaur broke its leg. I took it to the doctor. The doctor casts Bulbasaur. So
my Bulbasaur broke its leg. I take it and plant it.
Oh no!
And it grows back.
You plant its leg?
I plant the whole Bulbasaur.
Oh, I thought you meant you remove the leg and plant the leg. Grows a whole new Bulbasaur.
Grows new Bulbasaur. Oh, my little turtle. My little onion turtle.
It is a dinosaur.
It's an onion turtle. Get out of here with that garbage.
Okay, if it's anything, it's a garlic turtle.
It's an onion turtle, dude. Have you seen an onion? It even peels.
So does garlic.
Well, yeah, but not like onions.
That's fair. Okay.
It has cloves, dude.
Garlic has cloves.
Yeah, you're right.
Garlic is cloves, actually.
Onion turtle. Because it probably smells, too, like onions.
No, it probably doesn't.
Gives off spores like onions do.
I've heard they smell really sweet.
Interesting.
Bulbasaur.
Bulba.
So anyways, if you have like a Bulbasaur and it uses Vine Whip, you can use that move 10 times. And I've taken the basic movement, action, bonus action system into play. So stat-altering moves are going to be counted as bonus action so that you can still get an opportunity to attack.
Oh, that's cool.
Depending on the type of move. Mm-hmm. If you're using, so say you have a Scyther, because Scizor won't exist in our game yet, and you use the move Swords Dance, and it raises your attack stat, and it's going to do extra damage. I got to figure out how that's going to play in as well. But you will not be able to attack on that same turn. That will be counted as an action. But if you are lowering one of your opponent's stats, that might be counted as a bonus action, depending on the move.
So I have a question. You said that Scizor doesn't exist.
Not yet.
In our world. Is it possible that my character, York,
York.
The Poke Researcher.
The Poke Researcher.
With a Krogunk. The only one in this region. Is it possible that if I catch a Scyther and I'm studying it and putting it under intense physical testing, that I somehow discover Caesar?
Maybe. My issue is going to be canon more than anything.
What if I give Mimak her character? What is her character's name?
Riley.
Riley. What if I give Riley? What if York gives Riley his Caesar and is like, hey, you really need to protect her because she's weak. And then he gives the Caesar like a soda can.
The Scyther, a soda can.
The Scyther like a soda can. Something metal. And like a metal coating.
And it turns into
Caesar.
I'll consider it because, so to not give too much away, this game will be taking place before the canonical events of Red and Blue. So it'll be before Gen 1. And I'll get more into that in a minute because I think it's a really good idea that I have.
I think it would be cool if you, like, Pokemon Universe, here's all the stuff. Forget the lore.
Yeah, maybe.
Because then you have full control over what happens in the world. You know? And then you don't have to worry, like, if you're stepping on anything. Or
right.
If things aren't continuous.
I'll talk with you more about it after as well.
Yeah.
Because I have a character in mind.
Oof.
That is going to be like the Mystigan of this world.
Oh, Mystigan.
And be like a guide and be a help. I
miss him.
So, yeah, me too.
Dude, so, you guys should... Tangent, you guys should go to Sanctuary and pick him up.
Oh, and take him with us to the desert?
Why not?
Dude, that'd be great. I'm going to bring it up to the party. Be like, I miss that horned bastard. Let's go get him.
Or you guys should go find Pavash.
Dude, we can't go that far out of the way for Pavash.
Oh, but you can.
But we can't.
But you can for Pavash. Gareth.
Oh, Gareth!
Dude, come on. How safe would the princess be if there's a guy sniping all of her enemies?
Dude, honestly, I'll consider it. I'll bring it up to the party.
Once you guys finish the summit.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, there's so much to do with D&D. Anyways, continue.
So with the Pokemon system, it's essentially everything that is D&D simplified. I've made it a simpler game to run, mostly for my sake, just because I'm not a DM and I'm not very organized in my playstyle. So I need to keep everything as straightforward as I can. A lot of what we're going to be doing is I'm going to do my best to handle the stat math and have you guys handle the damage math.
Yeah.
And we'll be using some damage calculators a lot. We're going to be using some stat calculators and stuff like that. I want to try and convert as many of the game mechanics as I can over into it. But let me tell you one thing I will not bring over. HMs. HMs are dead. Okay? So if you get to a tree that needs to be cut down and you have a Charmander with big-ass claws, it's going to be able to cut down the tree.
Or a Charmander that could just light the tree
Or
on
a Charmander
fire
that could just burn the tree down.
with
but
his
that's
life tail.
Dangerous, Noe, because only you can prevent forest fires.
All right, hear me out. What if I bring an axe with me?
Yeah, I mean, I guess.
Like, what if I don't want my Pokemon to do all the work?
Yeah, I would allow it, yeah. If you just want to have an axe.
What if I'm going with my Krogunk, and I'm like, hey, Krogunk, there's like a tree blocking this path, and Krogunk looks at me and is like, go around it, idiot. And I'm like, you know what, Krogunk, I'm with you. I'm chopping the tree down.
Oh, that's the other thing about you're asking me about Caesar. I'm already stretching by allowing Krogunk to exist.
I know. That's
so
true.
I'll think more about how I want to do this, and the answer is going to come from when I tell you about my idea right now.
Yeah.
So yeah. So Pokemon D&D, simplified D&D,
Dungeons and
Dragonites, a simplified 5th edition D&D playthrough. Human stats will stay active. All of the 6 base stats will be there for your character. And your Pokemon will have some stats, but it won't have all of like the fancy modifiers that you would have in combat as a character in a D&D campaign. But instead, I'm going to play around with advantage and disadvantage more than anything.
Fun.
Meaning that, and I explained this to you the other day, but if you are fighting with a Persian and someone else is fighting with, I don't know, what's like a Snorlax, and the Snorlax is going to try and do something acrobatic, it's going to roll its acrobatics at disadvantage. It's just going to be a straight roll, no modifiers. It's just going to be, I'm going to set a save, and they have to make it on disadvantage.
All right, but what if like my Snorlax regularly runs?
No. That's not a Snorlax thing that happens.
Now, here's my thing. What if I'm a Poke trainer, right? And I'm a bad one.
Okay.
I'm not going to do this. But what if I train my Snorlax to be a marathon runner?
Okay.
So it's just thin and lanky.
So let me tell you this. As funny as that is, it's actually impossible. I don't want to see it. I've seen it before. Do not torment me with it.
Thin Snorlax.
At a certain level. At a certain level, I will be strict with stuff like that. Yeah. So your Snorlax will never be thin. Oh, it's so awful to look at.
It's so funny.
Oh, God. So, yeah. Dungeons and Dragonites.
Dungeons and Dragonites.
Stay tuned as we start it out. I'll be happy to tell y'all more about it when it's actually set in stone, when we're actually playing it. So.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
But, it's a short episode today.
Oh, is that it?
Yeah, that's all the stuff we got today. Oh. So stay posted for more information about our newest Dungeons and Dragons adventure, Dungeons and Dragonites.
Yes.
And stay posted for our actual Dungeons and Dragons campaign, which is going to be starting
hopefully soon.
Very, very soon.
Yeah.
And we're excited about that. We're excited that you guys stay tuned in to listen. Check this out on
Check
out Hungry Brothers and all of our related media, and check in Tuesdays to hear Hungry Brothers Nerd News.
That was a really good job.
Thank you.
I'm going to go a little more in depth with it, okay?
Okay.
You can follow us on Twitter at Hungry Bros Pod. You can find us on Facebook at Hungry Bros Pod. You can follow me, the pork chop guy, on Twitter at Fancy Shirt Post if you're good with, the awful jokes that I tell. You can also follow me on Instagram. That is at grandiloquent_mediocrity. And I've been saying it for like 3 episodes in a row now. Peep my Red Hood cosplay.
Ooh, it's almost time.
It is almost time. Yeah. Did I tell you I got my mask? It's pretty freaking cool.
Oof, I'm excited.
Yeah. So that's almost done. You can also find us on the Podbean app. You can listen to us on Spotify. You can listen to us on iTunes. Did I already say... Oh, yeah, iTunes, Apple Podcasts. And now you can even listen to us on YouTube.
Wow.
Yeah, so we're all over the place.
Heck yeah.
There's literally no excuse for you not to listen. So listen.
But thanks for tuning in to this very short episode of Hungry Dungeon.
Come back on Tuesday for Nerd News.
Bye.